They don't have to give any of these characters redemptive qualities because there's a Batman in that universe. And the best part about watching this, especially the last 2 episodes, the best part about watching the last 2 episodes is you're just like, Batman is going to kick your ass soon enough. And I can't wait to watch it happen. Like, hello, everybody. Welcome to, what issue is this?
15 or 16.
15. I lost track after we skipped a week. Yeah. But anyways, welcome to this issue of the Comic Room Pod. A little bit of a different setting here. Today we are in Mr. Longbox's comic room.
Welcome, everybody.
So this is his place. Yeah. So we'll get into his show and tell. I'm sure he's got a book, and then we'll let him kind of show the rest of his. He'll fully take over show and tell today. I'll let him have his time to shine.
Do I get to show everything?
Yeah, every
How
book.
much time do we have?
You can pull out every book.
Every book's got a story, too.
So yeah, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We're going to go through some news. We got some confirmed Green Lantern stuff.
Yeah.
We've got details on Spider-Man 4 from Tom Holland.
Pretty credible.
Yeah.
I'd say.
And yeah, after that, we're just going to...
Little Agatha, maybe?
Oh yeah, little Agatha, Penguin. We'll catch up on that a little bit. And then, yeah, we'll just talk about whatever after that. So
yeah, sounds great.
That's what we'll be on today. So everybody, thanks for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, or thanks for listening too if you're listening on Spotify. But if you're watching on YouTube and you wouldn't mind hitting that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, would mean a ton to us. And yeah, let's get straight into...
Get into show and tell, I guess, huh?
Wait, I forgot to do the clap.
Oh, right.
All right.
Now we're
good.
All right, we're good. Okay. So first off, welcome to my comic room. My comic room.
Yep.
All right. And this is a place I don't own this house. I rent this place. But the very first thing that my wife and I did, or at least I did when we got in here, is she's looking at the bathrooms and I'm scouting out where's my comic room going to be, and what's it going to be, and the first thing I did was to take a closet here and I removed the closet doors so that I could have access and just put these in here, and then had this thing I picked up at a thrift store for really cheap, but I saw it at the Container Store for several $100s. This exact one.
I
remember I was staring at it for a long time because I thought, wow, that's perfect for short boxes.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, these are my now that all my children are grown up and they're out of the house, one of them lives with you. These are my children now. All these puppies here. These are my your regular short boxes, and then down below my slab boxes, and then a slab box up there. This box is for all my reprints, and
nice.
Then so I just for ease to grab them,
Yeah, for sure.
And then that box up there, it's called number 6, but it's not number 6 anymore. That is actually where I keep my Golden Age stuff and magazine size things going there.
Nice.
And then this, I don't know if you can see, but I have this is the oldest box I have. This is a green Tupperware, gigantic Tupperware case, but inside is a box from the friend that I started collecting comics with that I mentioned in my origin story.
Yeah.
His name's Chris, and his dad owned I guess like a convenience store, liquor store, deli, all combined near San Francisco General Hospital up in the city, and so he got this box of a produce box, just that the apples used to get stored in, but it's perfect. It's a box with a divider, and the box is about as wide as 2 short boxes, and the divider goes right down the middle. So I just have stored,
nice.
So that's where I've stored the bulk of my comics in that Apple box all my life. And then as my comic collection grew, obviously I added these things. But I always kept my favorites in there because I could seal it inside the plastic in case, a pipe breaks behind a wall. And, I actually had that happen, I've had water damage, but not to my comics.
Yeah, that's so good.
But I've had water damage, in fact, in this. And I'm not getting into it, but I'm just going to say it's fine now. I think it's good.
It's kind of funny because from my perspective, I remember we talked about a couple times when I went to your house and you showed me your comics that first time. You had 2 short boxes, maybe 3.
Yeah, maybe 3. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe 3.
And so in 2 years, now look at you.
This is the I would say this is the problem. It's not a problem, or maybe I should say, hi, my name's Bob, also Mr. Longbox, and I have a problem. Maybe it is a problem, but it's the thing about comics, or maybe it's me. I when I get into stuff, I tend to go all the way into it. I'm not a guy that dabbles. I'm either in or I'm out.
Sure.
And so currently,
You're in.
I'm in. But as you can all see, this is now reached critical mass, because where do I go from here?
Yeah.
There is one more box of comics in this room, but it's in a different place, and in that is all my comics that have been signed. But I have no room.
Yeah.
So the next, and I've got another shipment of CGC slabs coming back here. So
Where's it gonna go?
I think I'm gonna have to lose one of these displays, which is a bummer. But I can gain 2 or 3 short boxes of storage right here.
I wouldn't do that. What are those?
Must I admit what they are? They are you know what's in there, you guys? CDs. Music CDs, and I have a little CD player here, and it's just it's almost like, it's old school stuff now, and I kind of like it. But you're right, they don't have to be here.
Yeah.
I could most definitely put boxes there and keep and hang on to this.
Yeah.
You might be right. That might be the way
I feel
to
like
go.
3, I think it looks really good. 3. I think 2. I think if you take away a shelf, it's gonna look cluttered in there, because
Yeah.
it doesn't look cluttered right now.
Okay.
It looks intentional.
Okay, yeah. Well, I feel that way. I built those shelves myself, by the way.
Oh.
This was a normal closet, and we just took out the bar that goes across, and then just got these shelves cut, painted them, and then installed them all the way down. And I'm kind of wondering if I could have done it, a little bit differently to create more space somehow.
Yeah.
I'm not really good at that, but they're sturdy and they work. So
Yeah, that's funny, because in my closet I took the bar out too, and this is the only thing I'm going to say about this. I'll give more information in 2 weeks, but a lot of stuff is moving in and out of my comic room right now.
yeah.
That's the only teaser you're going to get. And Dara asked me, she said, so, because there's right by our door, there's like a closet with like where we put our coats and stuff. She was like, so are you going to have room to like put your clothes in there? And I was like, no.
Absolutely not.
No.
Once a comic room, always a comic room. That's not. It doesn't go in. The machine does not go in reverse.
Yeah. So I was like,
How'd she take the news?
she was like, oh, and I think she like didn't understand, and I had to tell her that some things were not staying in the room. Not all the things were like moving, and she was like, oh, okay. And I was like, do you really have that many clothes? She's like, I'm always looking for anywhere to put my clothes.
Yeah, if there's a space available and you don't claim it, it's gone.
Yeah.
That's so true. But yeah, I mean, when you have, like, if you were, and I'm not going to spill any of your secrets, because you're going to reveal those in a week or two. But I'll just say when it's hard for me to think of having my comics elsewhere. I want to know they're here. I want to be able to look at all of them. Not that I'm gonna sit around and look at all of them all the time, but there's like, I guarantee that if I put half my comics somewhere else that I couldn't get to them, the very next day I'd want to get to one of them that isn't on, that I have to go wherever, that kind of thing, right? So yeah, absolutely, you're gonna keep your comic closet open. That's So
It was a sorry, not sorry.
Yeah,
situation.
Yeah. And here's the truth. Do you want me to soft shoe it, or do you want just me to tell you how it is?
So you've said in the past that you normally will take like at least once a week. We'll just like lay out your books on the ground and look at them. Now you're like in the middle of the school year. Things are going. Have you kept up with that or no?
I've been more purposeful about it. Like I mentioned, I have that box of signed books.
Yeah,
that was the latest project I did, and that meant I had to go through every single one of these boxes to pull them out. But also, it was a cool way to cross-reference if my database was accurate, because I could look at my database real quick and see how many books are signed. But then I had to see if I could find them, and that's why I literally, you guys, I went a couple weeks ago through every single one of these boxes twice, one book at a time, because there were 2 books that my database said I had signed, but I couldn't find them. And there were 2 that are really important to me. And I'm like, where are they? And I knew I'd given a box of signed ones to you to press. And then I took them back because I'm like, yeah, you don't think I'm going to send those into CGC, because right about the time that Ben Gate was happening and all that. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to hold off. But I didn't remember that I left 2 of them with you.
Yeah, because you were like, well, if you do like these, because I think it was a Neil Adams
signed reprint
and Peach Momoko.
Yeah, Peach. Yeah. Oh, they're beautiful. They're my favorites of that whole set, right?
The Neil Adams. It was the reprint of the Heroine.
Yeah, issue right? 85.
Yeah,
and it's I bought it at TorpedoCon signed, and with the COA from the Neil Adams store. So
Yeah.
So I think you're familiar with that store. So. I really like that book, and so that's why you still have it. But that's also, but I forgot, and that's why I kind of freaked out. Like you know how long it took me to do that, to go through every single one, and then I thought, there's no way I must have missed it. I'll go through it again. But even though I knew there's no way I missed it, I literally went book by book, and I just couldn't. And so then I was starting to say, well, I was doing a lot of moving things around, and there's always new packages arriving. It's possible that I left it in a box and I threw the box away. Like I'm thinking, I can't imagine I would ever do such a thing. Yeah. But where's the book? Where are they? I was about to go. I thought, well, maybe they're in my office. And then just out of happenstance, we're in the car together. My wife, Debbie, says to you, what did she say exactly?
I think she was like, oh, did you ask Joshua about the books?
Yeah.
And you were like, no.
And I really didn't. Yeah. I knew that I'd gotten them all back from you. So I'm like, no. And I just said, well, Joshua, if in your journeys in your comic room, if you should happen to come across a couple of signed, I didn't even finish the sentence. You go, oh, I have them. Yeah. and I don't think you could see my face at the time, but whatever my face looked like is what it looks like when the weight of the world lifts away. Yeah. Because it's not like, I get it, it's just 2 comic books, but it was more like getting an answer to a question that I really just desperately wanted. And even if the answer was a bad answer, I still just didn't like the idea that they were just missing.
Yeah, sure.
Because haven't you lost things before that you never find? I don't know what happened to it.
That's Dara right now with her Kindle. She can't find her Kindle.
Oh, no. And so she started to think, I left it somewhere.
Yeah.
And she loves that thing.
Yeah, she does.
She's an evangelist for that thing. She's like giving them away or sold or bless you, suggested to others that they,
she's bought like 2 or 3 other people Kindles.
Look, she's fighting she's a one woman literacy program.
Yeah, she is. So yeah.
Well, So
she knows what you felt like.
Yeah, it's not a good feeling. And usually when that happens, you never really do find it, or when you do, you've already replaced it or whatever, So anyway, so that's a long answer to your question. I haven't been on the floor digging through my books as much since the semester started. In fact, comics have been stacking up on my desk that I haven't even gotten put away, Yeah. So it's harder, but it'll just make it that much more fun when I do.
Yeah.
When I do it.
Yeah.
So I guess, all right. So that's like the macro show and tell of like, welcome to my to my lair. That's my favorite Matt Baker cover, and I know that I'm never going to actually own that cover. So I did the next best thing,
Yeah,
I did the financially responsible thing. I bought the trade paperback. This is signed by Mike Ditka.
Nice.
My dad went to high school with him, believe it or not.
Wow.
So crazy stuff like that. This is a baseball bat signed by Matt Duffy. You probably don't know who he is because he was never a superstar or anything like that, but he played for the Giants. And one of my students was in the minor leagues, and Matt Duffy was injured, so he's rehabbing in AAA, and I think AAA. And so they were on the same team together, and he asked Matt Duffy if he'd sign a bat to me. So it says to Prof D, which is
nice,
and Matt Duffy, and it's a game used Matt Duffy bat that he broke. It's cracked at the base. So yeah, I have all kinds of crazy, cool collectible things. This obviously is a Gandalf staff from the Hobbit movies. This was my staff when I cosplayed Gandalf at WonderCon.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of San Francisco Giants stuff behind me.
Yeah, Willie Mays signed bat, Willie McCovey signed bat. You got to appreciate those, even if you're not a Giants fan. But we are going to be rooting for the same team shortly.
Yep, hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Tell them what it is.
Yeah, I mean, probably will be the World Series of the century. of the last 2 centuries. Maybe
It's gonna be a great World Series.
Assuming that the Dodgers close out, which we know notoriously they have not been great at in the postseason since 2020. The Yankees, honestly, as well, they just have not been able to, like, both the Dodgers and the Yankees will have like incredible regular seasons.
Yeah.
And then they'll get to the postseason, and then they'll just like
Choke.
just have like bad pitching rotations, and just especially like Dave Roberts, or Dodgers fans blame the front office, but I don't know how. I don't know. I don't watch enough Dodger games to be able to say, but they say the people upstairs are the ones making the decisions and not Dave Roberts. But if Dave Roberts' final call, he makes a lot of questionable subbings, and
they handed him $1 billion roster this year, so you better make the World Series.
Yeah.
And it looks like they are. They're up 3-1 as we're recording this against the Mets. So
by the time this comes out, the series will probably be over.
Yeah, I think so.
The Padres were a harder team than the Mets.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm a Yankees fan. I mean, I grew up in LA. I went to Dodger games when I was a kid, but my parents, we never like really watched baseball. We watched more like Laker games.
Yeah.
So I'm a big Laker fan. So I just didn't grow up watching baseball games. But if you live in LA, it's like, when don't you go to a Dodger game? They're cheap. You know, it is what it is.
It's a fun time. Unless you're a Giants fan, then it's not a fun time.
So yeah, in like 2008, 2009, I came home from school one time and turned on the TV. TBS was on, and the Yankees were playing the Orioles, and I was like, oh, all right, like I'll watch. And I just watched Derek Jeter play for the first time in my life. And I was like, holy cow.
Special player.
This dude is like, he was so smooth. Like, he looked like he was just like ice skating at the shortstop position. It was crazy. And his swing was like, it was like butter. Like, I mean, not as smooth as Ken Griffey Jr., but
he had the clutch gene though.
Yeah, so clutch. And so I just was like enamored by that type of player. And so I just kind of kept up with the Yankees after that. So I'm like a weird fan, but at the time I didn't know they were 26, I think, championship wins at that time.
And that's at the peak of them. I think they won in 2009. That's at the
they
peak
won in
of
2009.
And then of course 2010 began the Giants run of 3 and 5 years. So yeah, I'm a Giants fan. So that means I'm always rooting for 2 teams. The Giants primarily, and number 2, whoever's playing the Dodgers. That's just the way it works if you're a Giants fan. If you're a Yankees fan, it's the way you guys feel about the Red Sox. That's how I feel about the Dodgers. And I've got a lot of friends here in Southern California that say, come on, Bob, like, you got to, like, we're friends. Like, why wouldn't you want my team to win? Like, we're friends. Wouldn't you want that for me? And I got to tell them, it's not like I don't love you, bro, but this is bigger than you.
Yeah.
I can't do it. So if it's a Dodgers Yankees, I've got a Yankees cap. I know you have a Yankees cap.
I mean, you were born in New York.
I was born in New York, and my introduction to baseball was from my grandfather, who was a Yankees and a Mets fan. So I have a nostalgic 1977 Yankees cap, the old cap with the top hat and the bat tilted. I love that cap. We're going to a game. We'll have each other's backs because we're going to need to.
I don't think we can afford to go to a game.
No, I don't mean like a game. No, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase. We're going to go to a sports club, or no, that sounds weird too. We're gonna go to a sports bar, I guess.
Bar, yeah,
and watch a game.
Yeah,
you know, and take some grief from the locals.
Yeah,
and that's how it's gonna be. So anyway, I mean, I know there's a lot of New York fans that I run into on the claim sales, and I buy comics from. So. Go Yankees.
Yeah, go Yankees.
All right, so finally, here's show and tell for me.
Yeah, let's do your show and tell.
My show and tell, specific show and tell today, is a book that I never thought I would buy, and from a genre that I never thought I'd be into, but I suddenly find myself into it, and it's the Westerns. And this is one that I just bought. I bought it from Adcon, Lone Ranger, issue number 9, 1949, March of 1949. Look at that. Is that not just 7.5 off-white pager?
Gorgeous.
Off-white pages. It's just a gorgeous book.
Yeah.
Yellow, crispy copy. I feel like the Westerns are undervalued. I bought this for less than $100, which was I got a great deal from Tasty Cat on this. I'm really happy about it. But you were there. I mean, if you watched the live stream, you saw me buy it. We're sitting there watching, and I was like, oh, that's a nice looking book. But then the real kicker was when he turned it over. And let me see. There's no glare there. There we go. Look at that back cover right there.
Gorgeous.
I mean, are you kidding me right now? That I kind of feel bad because I meant to offer, I think he was asking 110 for it. And I meant to offer 90 for it. And then, so I had the number 90 in my head and I was sort of thinking about it. And then a couple of things happened. Then I got back to it. And then I thought that I got in my head that 90 was what he was asking for it.
Yeah.
So I offered 75, which I would never lowball that much. That's too much.
Yeah.
And then he at least graciously countered instead of just saying, don't insult me, dude. Like, cause that's, and he countered for pretty much what I was going to offer in the first place. So, but I just love this book.
Yeah.
And what I found out was, they only did the Native American, lithograph or sketch, whatever you would call that. I don't know. It's double covers, back covers, starting with, this is issue 9. They starting on issue 8 and they did it for maybe about 7 or 8 issues. And they went back to kind of normal ones. I'm not going to turn into a completionist and start buying all the Lone Rangers. Mm-hmm. Don't hold me to that because I know Ken's got a lot more of these Lone Rangers. He said he bought a collection of them and I was kind of checking them out, but I'm trying to limit myself. I am interested in the ones that have these back covers, and also really like high grade ones that are maybe already graded.
Yeah.
But I'm interested in just any, like, look at that front cover though. I mean, let's not forget about the front cover. That's the coolest thing. That's Lone Ranger on silver leaping across a canyon. You see the depth behind there of the mountain pass and the desert behind him. I love it. It's a great cover. So Westerns as a genre would fall into like my sleeper category if we were doing that right now. I think Westerns are cheap.
Yeah.
There are Western keys that aren't cheap. I know, but I'll set this right. I don't know where to put it. Put it right there. But that's a great book, and
Still can't see it. That's fine.
That's okay. They can always rewind if you want to check it out. But I just feel like that's a huge gap in my collection. I had a Lone Ranger once upon a time that I sold, but it wasn't. It was from a much later, in the 50s collection or series. Painted cover. It was pretty cool. But that book, I just love. That's vaulted into the top 10 of my favorite books right now.
Oh, nice.
I just love it. Maybe it's because it's the only Western book I have.
Yeah.
It was not going to be the last Western book I buy, though.
Sure.
Because where can you get a 1949 7.5 of an iconic character like the Lone Ranger with a beautiful cover and throw in the amazing back cover for under $100? You just can't do it.
No.
Of almost anything, but somehow with the Westerns you can.
Yeah.
That ship sailed on the romance ones about 2 years ago, I think, maybe even more, but certainly the last 2 to 3 years, the romance books have shot up. I think the Westerns are coming. And if they aren't, I don't care. I like the book. I didn't buy it to sell it.
Yeah.
I'll probably never sell that book.
Yeah.
I'd have to be in dire straits to sell it. So that's my show and tell. I'm really excited about it, and I will keep you guys informed on my latest Western comic purchases. Or if you guys have some cool Western books, I'd really love to see them because I don't know a lot about the Western genre in comic books. And so if you guys have any ideas or tips or cool hidden gems that you want to clue me in on and help steer what I ought to be looking to buy, I'd love to hear from you because I'm completely naive about Western books, and which is really kind of fun. I'm just jumping in and buying as I see something that looks cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun.
So Westerns are interesting because obviously you had Western movies, 50s, 60s. When were they super popular?
Yeah, 50s and 60s.
Yeah. And then they just kind of like died out. And people always say like, oh, superhero movies, that's the Western trend in the modern day. Like it's going to die out. I don't think it ever is. I think Westerns, I think that was just like, you're also like coming out of like a time in America where like you're still pretty close to like, there's not really metropolitan areas in the 50s and 60s
Right.
with high tech and skyscrapers. Like, I mean, there was, but not like nearly like it is today.
Right.
And so you're still close to like that Western lifestyle, especially where we live. Like, we kind of live in the heart of like where those Western movies were made and produced and stuff.
The Western Walk of Fame is in a town where you and I both used to live.
Yeah.
You grew up there, and so did Dara grew up there.
Yeah. But superheroes, one, it's fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
So fantasy will always have a place as long as this world is existing.
Yeah.
Because people will always want to either vicariously live in another world or just have some sort of outlet from this current world. It's sci-fi. I don't think we will ever get a time. I mean, I could be wrong, but I just feel like the expense is way too high. But I doubt we'll ever live in a time where the average human will just take space trips. So there will always be that longing inside of the human race of what's out there. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Can I track? I need to see it. We won't have that. So that's why sci-fi is what it is, and why it's important is because it allows people's imaginations to run and answer the question of like what's beyond the moon.
Yeah, right. Imagine living in a world where there actually are no unexplored places. You know,
Yeah.
where everything's been explored and there's a wall and there's an end. Like, okay, we've done it all. Kind of boring, right? Like
Yeah.
you have to start to think, well, where's the next innovation going to come from, and how? Like we have what we have, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, space is, there's so much unexplored territory in the universe. So yeah, we're never not going to wonder about that.
Yeah. Yeah. The human wonder will always keep us engaged with sci-fi stuff. I think there's like a thing in Texas where you can take like a space shuttle that just like, I think it's like 6 digits to do, but you like, it goes, you break through, you go into space, you can see the whole Earth and it's like curvature, and then it just comes back down.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, if you were living in that stratosphere financially,
I would do that.
You could get into the stratosphere. Literally.
I was telling Dara about that the other day, and she was like, "Yeah, I wouldn't do that." And I was like, "Really?" I was like, "Oh my gosh, I totally would."
Yeah.
Like, I saw some YouTubers, Dude Perfect. One of them won like this challenge that they did, and so he got to go on it. And he gets up there, and he just starts crying, like, and I believe like they're all Christians too, and he was just like, dude, just the majesty of creation.
William Shatner did it.
Oh, really?
Yes, and he like his comment on it was that he thought he was going to feel a certain way, and he felt the other way. Like he said that you can look it up, but Google it, what he said exactly. But it was essentially what he felt was a profound loneliness and sadness being separated from his home planet, like to realize that he was like, space isn't like, he was thinking he'd feel all this wonder because he's out in space, but what he felt was he felt the separation from all the rest of humanity.
Interesting.
And it filled him with sadness. And I thought, well, that's interesting. But you did know you were coming back down, right? Like, you weren't shot up there in exile. You know, you're actually not Captain Kirk. You get to come back. Yeah. You know, it's not a 5-year mission or whatever.
It seems overly like intellectual.
Yeah, almost. Yeah, I almost kind of wondered if and this would be so wrong to do, I suppose, but if he kind of had already scripted that even before he went up there. Like, yeah. I wonder about that. Like if he sort of, or maybe confirmed his biases already. Like he knew how he was going to kind of sense that he would feel that way, and then, hey man, whatever. He's Captain Kirk. He can do whatever he wants, right? He's lived in his nice. That reminds me, and this will be a show and tell probably for me in 2 weeks when it gets back, or next week after I get it back from CGC. But I already told you this, but I got my Star Trek issue #1 graded, and I paid $150 for it at a convention a couple years ago. You know, it was like a VG copy, so I was hoping, 5.0 Well, I figured 5.0, and I was hoping maybe I could get it like into a 6. And you pressed it, and it had things that couldn't be pressed out. It had lots of color breaking stuff. And,
Sure.
And I got the alert from CGC that the things have been graded, and I failed to do what I thought I would try to do this time, which is I'm going to wait until the box comes in the mail. I'm not going to look at my grades. That lasted literally like 20 seconds. And I'm like, forget it. I need to know. So I'm going down the list, and then here comes Star Trek 1, which is potentially worth the highest if it comes back a really nice grade. It's 0.5. 0.5. And I'm like, 0.5? What in the world? And it turns out the centerfold was missing. Just missing. Doesn't affect the story. I'm like, yeah, but you know what affects the story? The fact that it's in a slab, that affects the story. Like the centerfold, once it's slabbed, affects the story, not affects the story. But it's still, bottom line, it comes back as 0.5. So obviously I'm disappointed. I don't really hold the seller responsible because it's a raw book. I bought it from him. Now I chose not to open it and look through it. I paid $150 for a mid to low mid grade copy, and you kind of get what you get. That's just how it goes. Like I don't fault him. He's anybody who sells comics at, you've got your big bangers and stuff, but then you have your other books that are in your short boxes or long boxes. You can't possibly look through every page. You have to let the buyer do that if they want to. And I didn't do it. So that's how it goes. I'm not,
I disagree a little bit. I think with a book like Star Trek 1, like that's a book a seller should probably do a page count on.
Certainly the buyer should have.
No, I feel like that's not on the buyer. Like it happened. I mean, I know how you feel because that happened to me. It was during the first AtCon I ever went to. I bought an ASM 13, like 3540 condition. Got it in. I should have done the page count before because then I could have hit them up for a return, but I didn't. I sent it in Eric graded. It came back in 05, missing page 12. And I was like, how do you even like ASM 13, first appearance of Mysterio? How are you not doing a page count?
Right.
Like
how would you know if it's missing a page? You just have to look it up and say, okay, this is a 36 page book. And
there's a website that has full page breakdowns of every book.
It would certainly have had Star Trek 1 on it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And it'll tell you like when the ad pages are supposed to be, it'll tell you like what's on the ad page too. So it's the right one.
I mean, that's why I didn't open it up. To your point, I didn't open the book up and count it because it was priced at $150. So, and it didn't note that the centerfold was missing. So I assumed what I see is what you see is what you get. Like, if I can decide if it's got the right eye appeal or not, but if it's listed as a VG copy, well, it wasn't a VG copy.
Yeah.
Am I going to go track the guy down 2 years later? No, I'm not going to do that. It
is what it is at this point.
I'm going to learn and move on.
That's what I said too.
But you have since replaced that comic in your collection, have you not?
No.
Oh man, see,
I'm still waiting.
Okay, so that's the question. I'm the kind of person that when I lose something or something gets stolen from me or something like that, not that things get stolen from me often, but when I was young and was living in a bad neighborhood, something like that, I tend to like to erase the negative feelings of it right away by replacing it.
Sure.
So I'm thinking I'm suddenly in the market for a mid-grade Star Trek 1.
Yeah, there you go.
I really am. I'm that book is I think it should be worth more than it is. I still think it's undervalued. Not at high grade. At high grade it's worth quite a bit, but like a 6.0 copy, a 6.0 copy is not going to cost even $500, I don't think.
What does a 0.5 go for?
I haven't had the heart to look it up, but I have a feeling a 0.5 probably goes for
60,
60, 40, $50. It's more just like, cool, I have the book,
yeah,
kind of thing. So, but it's not like I'm not happy to still have the book. The book, it's there. I have it. I own it. It's incomplete, but I still have it.
Yeah.
But that 0.5 doesn't look good. Yeah, it's not gonna look good. But on the bright side, I put Star Trek 2 and Star Trek 3. I had all three. Star Trek 2 came back mid-grade, but the Star Trek 3 I bought from a comic shop in Santa Barbara, and you were with me that day. And I think it was $40, and it was kind of billed to be in the same grade, I would have thought like a 4.0, 4.5, maybe a 5 on a good day. Came back a 7.0. So you did a masterful pressing job and cleaning job on that one so I was really, really happy about that. So you know how it is when you do a slab order, you hit on some and you miss on some, you know, and you know, I got my slabs. They came in 2 separate orders because one was just vintage and the other was vintage FFs with custom labels. So the first batch, I got the grades on one day. The next day I got the other grades.
Nice.
And the first batch obviously had the Star Trek one. It had a few others that I was hoping would come back higher, and they didn't. And I almost texted you, like, I just had bad luck with CGC, but I know I was just being a prisoner of the moment. That really wasn't true. And the very next day, I got the Fantastic Four grades, and they were actually higher than I had hoped they would be.
All high grades, yeah.
Yeah, all high grades, a couple white pagers, but, you know, that's because they were from the Up North collection from Gus. So, you know. His Up North collection never lets me down. They're always off-white to white or white. Never anything worse than that, you know, which I think does give it a pretty good grade bump. I do think the graders are I think this last collection of books kind of bears that out. I thought they would become like a half grade less or maybe a whole point less. They were also off-white to white or just white, and they came back really decent grades. So anyway, yeah, that happened, but what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You know, so if anybody knows of well, I guess I can find one of my own. I'm sure it's not that hard to find a mid-grade Star Trek one somewhere. But anyway.
On the news, we got our official Green Lantern casting. Kyle Chandler, 100% confirmed now. So I'm still not familiar with his work. So I hear good things. So just
I like him. Excited
to see.
Especially playing the old guy, giving advice to the young guy. I think it's going to be good.
Yeah,
I think he's going to fit really well in that role.
And then we got our Jon Stewart casting.
Yeah.
His name is Aaron Pierre. He is a relatively new actor. 2016, he was in a short, IMDb says, but it looks like he was on a TV show in 2017. Did a lot of TV until 2021 with that M. Night Shyamalan movie. Old. Looks like that was his first film. Did a couple films after that. Most recently, he's popular for, I believe it's a Netflix movie called Rebel Ridge. That's kind of like what kind of catapulted him into popularity.
Okay.
So yeah, he's our Jon Stewart.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything from him either. So, which I like that these actors that at least I'm not familiar with.
Yeah. Especially after getting RDJ for Doom. Like, can we please how about a fresh face? Like
exactly.
You know, let somebody just go ahead and claim that role. Be that guy.
So I'm excited.
Yeah, well, this certainly popped the Jon Stewart Green Lantern appearances have gotten hot lately.
Yeah.
So the big one is what 87, I think. Yeah, the first appearance of Jon Stewart as Green Lantern. Yeah, it's a great book. You have it. I have it. Yours is in higher grade. So
yeah, mine's creamed off white pages though.
Yeah, Joshua's really been into the white pages lately. You guys, like he'll take a lower grade if the pages are white. He'll prefer it, a lot of times. But that's what's so fun about collecting. Do your thing. Like if that's what you're into, that's what you should. Then who's to say that's not something to be into? You know. And white pages are rare. Like some people are really into the newsstand.
Yeah.
I didn't used to be, but now there are certain books where I think I wouldn't really want to spend that much on it, but I would if it were newsstand. You know.
Yeah.
But white pages is great.
Yeah, I just see it kind of like at least for right now, like it's just like a good investment, like a good long-term investment onto your book. Like
it differentiates you big time.
Yeah, when you're selling it, it's like it's a step above even the rest in its category.
Yeah.
So sometimes it fetches a much higher price, kind of depending on the age of the book. Sometimes it's like not that big of a deal, but even if it's not like, you know, if it's a 80s book or whatever, sometimes it's just like, it'd just be quicker to move. Like somebody collecting, you know, like the OG Secret Wars run, like moving a white pager, Secret Wars 8 versus a Secret Wars 8 off-white to white.
Yeah.
Like that white pager is going to go way before the
Yeah.
Off-White does.
That's right. And with I was gonna say like the older the book is, if it's white pages, it's even more special. But I actually think the white pages has a greater effect on a newer book in that there are always going to be a lot of high grade copies of newer books. So you're trying to find, well, what makes my high grade copy stand out? So having a white page, and maybe at a certain point, white page is not uncommon at all, but anything Copper Age and below that's in white, that's going to stand out.
Yeah. When did they start doing the magazine paper on the inside?
Yeah, in the like late 80s, or I guess when did Marvel Fanfare start? Marvel Fanfare started like 83, 84. So that was the first book that really kind of do the prestige format, and then it started catching on. But I don't think it was a major adopted across as much as it got adopted until the 90s.
Yeah, I think because that second FF run, the Jim Lee covers, I think those are all like the magazine, not newspaper. So yeah.
They used to call it Baxter paper. I don't know why, but that's what it was called.
Clue.
I always told myself that it had to do with the Baxter building, but that's because I see everything through the prism of the Fantastic Four.
So yeah,
what's wrong with me?
I have 2 copies of FF23. One of them is an off-white to white. The other is off-white. Or sorry, one of them is 5.5 CGC off-white to white. The other one's a 5.0 white. I'm keeping the 5.0 white and I'm selling the 5.5.
Yeah. All right. So let me ask. I have this up here. Since I'm just gonna take advantage of this because we'll probably never be back in my comic room. But I have a question for our listeners and viewers. I have in my hand here the hard copy first print of Batman: Son of the Demon. It's got a cool back page. Back cover, whatever. This is the first official appearance of Damian Wayne, and has recently been retconned into DC canon. So, and you can look this up on Key Collector. It's there. This one came out after Return of the Dark Knight or Dark Knight Returns. So, I picked it up just on a spec, and I put it. It's still in the original plastic janky thing that I put it in years ago.
Did you pick it up back in the day or like recently?
No, back in the day.
Like when it came out?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, but I feel like it's not really worth that much yet, but I'm wondering if it ever will be. Like comic collectors, how into are, I don't know how to quite say that. Are you that much into buying books, hardcover books that are first appearances of a comic book character? Are you more like, nah, I want the comic book? Does this thing, or I'm just wondering if this, I've been toting this book around for 30 years. Is it going to pay off or what?
Well, here's what I think. I think there's like I know this isn't the right term. At least I don't think it is, but I don't mean this. Maybe it is the right word. When there's like a squeeze in the market, what does that mean?
As in like there aren't that many copies, or
is that what squeeze like a?
Well, I guess so. Yeah, if supply is down, you could say it's a squeeze in the market, or if it's like squeezing the shorts in the stock market, but that's something else, I think.
Because I want to use that same word, but I know it's in the same realm, but differently. But anyways, I feel like, I guess like a chokehold is probably like a better word. There just becomes such a demand for books on the market. So like first, she said, okay.
Oh, is that your phone?
Yeah, I think I was hitting Siri.
Oh.
I do not disturb real quick. There just becomes such a high demand for books. And right now I feel like it's generally like what's the word? Like the first appearances in comics, right? Like,
right.
So it's like that's Damian Wayne's first appearance in the world, not his first appearance in comics. People gravitate towards the comics, and that's like the hype. I feel like soon enough we're going to be entering the niche where people start wanting to gravitate towards like collecting the niche things, because those are the ones that are more rare. Like everybody might have the first appearance of Damian Wayne in comic form, but not everybody's going to have that.
Right.
Like, so, and it's going to be, people are going to start to realize like, oh wait, this stuff is cheaper and it's rare.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's only a matter of time before we see stuff like that happen where magazines and
I hope so.
I mean, you see it with Man Thing, like,
Oh man, Savage Tales 1. I actually put an offer on a Savage Tales 1 at Con, and I didn't get it. Someone else had claimed it already. But yeah, that's a magazine. Or remember what I think it was last episode, I had the little Lulu first appearance in 4-color. There it is, somewhere over there it is. But I also had the Saturday Evening Post, which was from like 10 years earlier, which was her actual first ever appearance in a comic strip, not a comic book. And it's worth, I guess it's worth what I paid for it, which was like $35 or $50, because I don't think anyone has come up anywhere for sale since, and it's been 2 years. So that's how rare it is.
Yeah. So I think that's like, I don't know, maybe, well, we don't get crazy viewership, so we're not going to change the market with the things we say here, but
someday we'll be market changers.
I think those early Tales of Suspense, I think those are underpriced because the Doom, there's a Magneto, Spider-Man. I actually think Aunt May and Uncle Ben make their first appearance in that issue. So there's a lot of prototypes in that early Tales of Suspense stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think
the print runs were down for that. I mean, they weren't the same as what they were running for Spider-Man or Fantastic Four, certainly.
Right, and obviously like Magneto, like Doom, like those are like the actual characters that like we know and love today. But the prototypes, like that was them field testing essentially.
I think Black Panther has a prototype in there too, right? Where he's leaping, but it's not actually the Black Panther. It's called something else. Yeah. I don't know if it's a Tales to Astonish or Tales of Suspense, but it's one of the or Strange Tales. But it's in that same.
Oh yeah,
I lump all those together as kind of this.
Yeah.
This pre FF1 titles that got grandfathered into the Marvel line. That have these like, or the Hulk, the other one.
The Hulk. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
And those are underpriced almost criminally. So
yeah, I picked up a pre-superhero Tales to Astonish 11. It's the first appearance of a monster. Like, nobody, like, you've never heard of them. I've never heard of them.
Here's another one of these.
I picked it up for $80, and it was
high. Yeah, you showed me a picture of it. It's a really good grade.
607 grade.
That's and that's in the 50s.
I think it was just mispriced. Like when I looked up like what that book goes for. Yeah. There's only 86 of them on the census, and a 7.5 I think recently sold for like 11 or 1,200.
Yeah.
So
I bought this not too long ago. Just a Marvel Masterworks first, I guess, 9 issues of Journey into Mystery.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, it's 80 issues almost from the end of this book before Thor shows up. But there's some cool stories in here.
It's funny because I feel like everybody loves the DC horror stuff, but then never like looks at like the early Journey into Mystery or
no, they don't.
The early Tales of Suspense. Because Marvel, it's like DC and indie magazines or whatever were doing the horror stuff the best, and then Marvel like did the superhero stuff the best. But it's like horror is horror. They might not have had the big swingers with the artists, but
they did have some pretty cool monsters in those Journey into Mysteries and Tales of Suspense, Tales of Astonish.
Yeah.
But it's almost like Tales to Astonish doesn't exist until issue 101 and the Human Torch shows up. Or Journey to Mystery doesn't really count until you have issue 83 and issue 39 for Tales of Suspense. Otherwise, it didn't exist. But of course they did, and they're part of they're not just part of the run, but they're part of the whole lore of monsters that exist in this Marvel universe. And all it takes is for somebody to pull one out.
Yeah.
And people are going to go scrambling for those books, and they're not going to find them.
Yeah.
Except in your collection.
Yeah.
And maybe mine. And maybe y'all's if you're listening.
So yeah, last piece of news here. Spider-Man 4. We've talked about it. I've wrote fanfic on it. Tom Holland recently started his alcoholic-free beer. He's been sober for 2 years. and created this alcoholic free beer. It's called like Bero or something, Bero.
Alcohol. Wait, I'm laughing because it's alcohol free beer, but I like your name for it better. Alcoholic free beer.
It's alcohol free beer. Yeah, alcoholic.
But
free
but
beer.
I think they essentially mean the same thing. But I like yours better.
Yeah.
Yours has a better sound to it.
0% alcohol. Oh, I don't know if it's 0. Well, it has to be.
Yeah, it has to be. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Did he have? I'm naive. Did he have a drinking problem, Tom?
yeah.
Oh wow, he's so young.
Yeah, he talked about it on a podcast when he first quit.
Okay.
And
Well, good for him.
I just being a Brit, and it just went from like this casual thing and into like a social thing and just never really having a grip on it. And so it just evolved itself pretty much is what he said. And he said it had a pretty bad grip on him for a while.
Yeah.
So he stopped drinking. So then he launched this company, and he did a podcast to promote it with I don't know who this guy was, and he started talking about Marvel stuff. Obviously, he's Spider-Man, Tom Holland. Like you're not gonna get Tom Holland in a room and not talk about Spider-Man.
Right.
So to pause on that real quick, so far everything we know about Spider-Man 4, it's still really early, so it's hard to say like these are hard yeses and hard no's and stuff like that. But the rumors have been that it started out as a street level movie. It was potentially going to be a Daredevil team up that apparently got canned and it got turned into a multiversal thing. Especially with Venom coming out next week and the introduction of Null. They wanted to tie Null into it. Fans kind of started to freak out because Null isn't a Spider-Man villain, nor have they interacted in comics. The only connection they have is like the symbiote, but there's been no connection between Null and Spider-Man, at least not that I know, and not that anybody on the internet knows. No, because the whole joke right now is like, here's the amount of times they've crossed over in comics. 0 times.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so, now it's potentially a multiverse thing with Null. There's rumors that Toby and Andrew are going to come back because, the success of No Way Home.
Yeah.
And so it just went from like this cool street level story with Daredevil to like multiverse mayhem, So everybody was like kind of bummed and, tweeting at Sony like, this isn't what we want. And Tom Holland goes on this podcast and he said that he recently got the first draft of the script, and he said him and Zendaya read it, and he said they were bouncing off the walls.
Really?
Like he said they really liked it. He said it still needs some work, but he said like the idea, he says it's great. And then he just started to go on and talk about his relationship with Sony and Marvel.
Yeah.
And really was just like, I've now grown into a place where I can put my foot down. And he says that's a privilege. And this is kind of cool. He said it's something that he's had to he's talked a lot with Robert Downey Jr. about. Yeah. Because, RDJ quickly became one of those guys.
Yep.
And so Tom talking about, I need to know the right place to use it, when not to use it, not to overuse it, not to underuse it. And he talked about using it when, for himself to make sure that he feels like he's doing the right thing, both just like as an actor and a person, that like he's not doing something that he doesn't want to do. Right. So that's like his first priority, is making sure that he's committing himself to a project that he believes in. This is like an aside, but somebody had mentioned a story or like referenced maybe an old interview that he did, where this is one of the first times he did it in No Way Home, where they were filming the ending, the last scene of the movie. And apparently Tom calls cut and he goes, "I'm sorry, I just don't believe the words that I'm saying." And so him and the director, they kind of put a pause. Him and the director went into like a room and just kind of planned out the last scene. Yeah. Came up with something, pitched it to the writers, and the writers said, great. And then they just put it into words. And that's the ending that we have. So that's cool. Yeah. They listened to him. And so, so that was the first point, is making sure that he does something. His second is, honoring the character of Spider-Man, like making sure that it's true to the character. And the last thing is making sure that he's doing something that the fans want to see. So he's talked about having a lot of back and forth with Sony and Marvel with this movie, with Spider-Man 4, talking ideas. And yeah, he said him and Zendaya really like the script for Spider-Man 4. Okay. So it's put a lot of ease to like Spider-Man fans' minds where they're like, hey, like we love Tom. Like he's been such a great Peter and a great Spider-Man. Like any complaints for those 3 movies that anybody's had has never had to do with Tom.
Right.
So if Tom like is kind of giving his soft stamp of approval on something, it kind of like eased. Like literally Twitter, like yesterday when this whole interview dropped, Twitter was like, oh, okay, like I guess it's not that, like there's not that much to worry about. Like if Tom's like,
that's good.
If Tom's kind of given a seat in like the writer's room or like, you know, is put in the front seat and he's not in the back seat anymore and he gets to speak to a lot of these things, he's probably scrolling Twitter, scrolling YouTube more than a lot of these studio heads are. So, you know, he's going to have a better pulse on kind of what's going on than those studio heads. So
that's good. Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm excited now.
I know you're excited about the next movie because that you love that storyline and you love that character and you really like Tom Holland as Spider-Man. So, and I hope you get your street level Daredevil story. I really do. Yeah. At least, if not in full, at least somewhat, you know, at least you get some of that and like maybe a possibility for the future. Cause you've got 2, you know, you got Daredevil's running its own thing and Spider-Man's running its own thing. It feels like in one of these titles, eventually you're going to be able to get to have that.
Yeah.
You know, cause
so I guess more of a rumor cause there's not like no interview of Tom or Charlie Cox talking about this, but the latest rumor is that Marvel is doing the best that they can to negotiate their deal with Sony to let Spider-Man be in the Daredevil show. Because right now, Sony will only let Spider-Man do his own movie or be an Avengers movie. They won't let him do anything else.
So it's just a matter of money.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I say that like, you know, it's my money being spent. But I mean, between, you got these 2 entities, they both have the deepest pockets around. So, and there's a lot of money to be made by both entities for Spider-Man to be in a TV show. Like both, it's a win-win. They just have to decide what the percentage of the victory will be for each side. Yeah. But you'd think if they're talking about it, they'll figure it out, right?
Yeah.
Because why would you put your foot down and dig your heels in the sand when a yes means money no matter what?
Yeah. I feel like the conversation is like, okay, look, Sony wants to do the multiverse stuff because they probably want to save their universe, their little like villain universe that they've made.
Yeah.
And make something out of it. So that's probably why they're like, oh, Null is like the bridge to do this. And so they want to keep it ethereal and, you know, otherworldly and all this stuff and multiversal and things like that. But,
all right, well,
yeah. So I feel like
that's good development though.
Part of it is Marvel probably hears the cries for like street level stuff. And that could be why maybe, you know, if these rumors are true, why they are going to bat and saying like, hey, like the fans want street level stuff. You know, we're in a multiverse saga. You're doing your own multiverse thing, telling Sony that. And so like they understand the multiverse, but if we can get him on the street level at some point, like this is how we could do it.
And if there, we've talked about this before, but I just got to throw it out again. If, and it's not a big if because it's definitely already being talked about and being executed in Daredevil. If and when the full send, we're going street level with our arcs, like the Marvel Knights type of thing, right? Then you better start snatching up your Iron Fists and your Luke Cages and your Shang-Chi's because those are all street level characters and they've been utilized in bigger stories like Shang-Chi specifically. But the reality is they are like Marvel has an arsenal of street level heroes.
Yeah.
And they have been utilized in bigger storylines, but that's their bread and butter. So you better believe they're going to be rolling them out. Elektra, it's another one.
Yeah.
They're, and that's not like, that's already been done. But I mean, Iron Fist, Power Man, Iron Fist, I'm telling you that those two characters, the first appearance of those two characters are they need to be worth more.
Yeah.
And I'd throw Shang-Chi in there as well. But especially Power Man, Iron Fist. And I know I'm not thinking of a bunch. Moon Knight's already taken its hike up it's already gone out through the roof. But there are several characters in that street level arena, and because Marvel's doing interesting things, right? Because you have the street level stuff, then you have the sort of monstery stuff, and the monstery witchcraft type stuff that we're starting to see now, and Legion of Doom or Legion of Doom. I'm borrowing from sports. the was it Legion of Monsters? Is that what it is? The Ghost Rider and the and that whole collection of bad guy or good guys, bad guys, whatever you call them.
Yeah.
So why not, right? Like why these characters haven't gotten enough run, and they haven't taken their run up the ladder on the values either, like not counting 2020 because everybody went up the ladder. But I just think there's a lot of bringing it back to the comic books and the world we all love so much. There's a lot of opportunities there still. Those books I think
for sure.
Again, what are we supposed to say? This is not financial advice. Make your own decisions. But I'm going to be looking. I'll be buying any raw and reasonable priced copies of the first appearance of some of that I can get my hands on.
Yeah.
As they come up. I want a Luke Cage one badly.
Same. Yeah, I want Luke Cage and I want Iron Fist. I'm looking.
The Luke Cage cover with the frame cover, and it's a black cover. It's so tough.
Yeah.
But what a great book.
It's great. Are you interested in seeing Venom?
Not really.
I know because you haven't seen the first two.
And my objection to it and to the first two was the same thing I didn't like about the Moon Knight series, and I liked the Moon Knight series, but is the voice. I didn't like the voice of Khonshu. I felt it was like Mr. Howell from Gilligan's Island or something like that, and it should have been. I thought it should have been a much spookier, airy quality voice, almost like a Spectre-ish type of voice would have been better to me.
Yeah, he had this
it's like, Mark, wake up.
He had this like transatlantic radio voice.
Yeah, exactly. It didn't fit. Like the Khonshu is like hanging out in pyramids with mummies and stuff. Like he's like this dark god.
Yeah.
I don't want him to sound like his game show host. That's what it sounded like to me, and I had to just get over it.
Like he was commentating like Babe Ruth's whole career.
That's exactly right. And so I just had to. That was just something I had to overcome, and I felt the same way about the narration, the little bits I heard, not narration, but of the voice of Venom. It was almost the same voice, kind of like it was like if a golden retriever had a voice. That's what it would be. And I'm like, that is not Venom's voice.
Yeah.
I don't think. I feel I want Venom to be something a little more sinister.
Yeah.
But I'm not the Spider-Man aficionado, so I might be talking out of my head here. So that's my resistance to it. But that I've proven I can get over that. Like if it's a good story, I can get past that.
Yeah. So I think Tom Holland does the voice of Venom in like a studio recording type situation. And
did he do the first two?
Yeah, he did all of them, I think. I'm pretty sure he's the voice of Venom. I could be wrong, but I think he is.
Seems so much deeper.
But he does, like, I think the groggy.
That voice you can call whatever you want. You're right.
The groggy sound. I think that's right. But I think it does have to be a little bit more menacing and a lot deeper in its tone.
Yeah.
But I think like the phlegminess of it, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, look, I watched Madam Web this week, so I can do anything. And
let's get to that in a second because I want to hear your thoughts. But I'll just give you my brief because it comes out next week, so you can decide if you want to watch, if we're going to see it together, or if you're just like, I don't care.
All right.
The first one, pretty good. Like, not by no means like the worst Sony movie they've put out. Madam Web is that for sure. It was just like, it's entertaining. I think Tom Hardy, honestly, like is great. Like he's funny. I think he plays the character, like both characters, like really well.
Yeah, I like him as an actor.
Yeah. The second one is interesting. Like, it's just interesting because it's Carnage. If I did not like Woody Harrelson as Carnage, maybe because he's too big of a player, like too big of a name.
You hear Woody the bartender from Cheers in there somewhere.
Yeah, like it just what's his name? Cletus Cassidy is like Joker-esque in a way, like the serial killer, like unhinged type thing. And I just like really couldn't fully believe that out of Woody Harrelson. So I kind of wish the casting would have been different. The movie, I think, just had some like pacing problems. Again, Tom Hardy was good. There's some funny moments, like Venom discovers like clubbing and dancing. He's like hooked on it, and that's pretty funny.
That is funny.
So yeah, I mean, they're all right. They're nothing like, you're not gonna like watch them and just be like, wow, that just like transformed the game. Like you're just like, you probably watch the first one and you're like, oh, it's fun. It's fun. Yeah, the second one you might like it, you might
I'm
not.
up for that. They don't all have to be, groundbreaking. That it's just I don't. Is it fun? Do I enjoy? Is it entertaining? Does it not like offend my sensibilities somehow? I'm okay with. I'm pretty easy.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't. I only fast forwarded a few things in Madam Web.
Really?
I just like, and it's me. I know it's not normal, but I just I get tired of all the chases. Like, okay, I get it.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Okay, we already know they're getting away. Like, how many cars do I have to see careen into other cars and whole thing? But you couldn't really get away with that with Madam Web because you weren't sure if you were watching what was really going on or if you were watching her vision of what was going to happen. So I quickly learned that I had to back up because like I thought I fast forwarded through something, but then it didn't happen. So I went back. I'm like, okay, I just need to.
So what'd you think?
It's weird, and we briefly talked about this before, but not really getting into the movie. But you had said the thing about Sony movies. You said to me was like you can tell there's something there, but they just don't quite deliver it.
Yeah,
I think they did with the Spider-Mans. That's the exception, right? But some of these more
Disney Marvel has more of a hand on those.
Yeah. But these, right. But these ones, it's like, boy, it really it had some potential. Like I thought it was interesting. The twist that I want to wreck. There wasn't like major twist, but finding out why her mom was in the jungle in the first place. That was all pretty interesting. I thought I was in, you guys know I have a minor spider phobia. So I'm always fascinated by movies that have spiders in them. So that was interesting. The catching the spider, bringing it back and all that. The problem for me was I found the protagonist as well as the three future spider women to be largely unlikable for most of the movie.
Yeah.
And I never really did come to like any of the three young gals much.
Sure.
Maybe that was intentional because they were like these bratty teenagers and all that. But even the protagonist, she's and why can't I think of her name right now? Cassie.
Daisy. Oh,
the main character in Madam Web, who becomes Madam Web.
The actress name?
No, the character's name.
Oh, Cassie,
right?
Webb.
Cassie Webb. Yeah. Okay. It's like, it's too obvious. That's it, right? But I don't want to. Anyway, yeah. But she's just so, and it's part of her character. She's angry at the world. She hates everything.
Webb.
Yeah. She's cynical. She's all this stuff, and I just thought, I don't really, just somebody please kill her and put her out of her misery and end the movie, But then when she became more. When she found out the truth and all that was going on, like why her mom was in the jungle and all that, then she got more likable. But the movie was over at that point, pretty much. So that to me was the thing. And I didn't really. When we talk about the villain, I never really could connect with the villain in any way at all. Like the villain was just sort of a prop. Could have been anything that they were running from. And
not to mention all of his voice lines were ADR. And recorded after the fact, so he was talking, and you're like, "Is he actually what?"
Is there a reason for it? I mean, obviously there's a reason. What happened? Was the sound file corrupted? Did it just change the tone of the whole movie and change his dialogue?
I think they just changed the script after all the filming and everything. I don't know why just with him though, but
I didn't think it was a train wreck. I just think it was kind of like what we were saying. Well, it was interesting. I was interested to find out what happened. I quickly forgot about it after I was done watching it, and it's not like I would recommend it to somebody, but it was so. Again, I wouldn't recommend it. Like if you already stream, if you belong to that streaming service, go ahead, might as well. It's something. It's not terrible. It's just not. It could have been more. You could tell they had some ideas there.
Yeah, the actress, I think Daisy Johnson is her name. She during the press tour was not hiding the fact that she did not like the movie.
She's Don Johnson and Melanie Griffith's daughter.
Oh, Nepo baby? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's what they call like the industry celebrities.
Yeah, she's one of those.
Yeah, wow, Nepo baby.
Yeah.
Who knew? I didn't know that. Yeah, so I think she's a good actor. Like the couple things I've seen her in, like she's fine. And yeah, it was just like, I think the villain just really took away so much. I thought the idea of like the flashes and like seeing into the future, I think that's a very interesting thing, because I think when you start messing with time and seeing into the future, and then it's like, okay, is me doing something going to be is me trying to prevent this going to be the thing that causes this?
Yep.
Or by doing nothing, is that letting it happen? But if I do nothing, then, and I know this is going to happen, am I allowing it to happen? So like that all becomes like an interesting plot, but that idea was like barely in the movie, I would say. Like,
yeah, only when she realizes that she can actually affect. She's not just seeing the future, but she could affect it. That was it. Like with the pigeon and the window and the whole thing. Right? I remember there was a movie that came out maybe a decade ago or more. It was starring Nicolas Cage, and I can't remember the name of it, but he had that same power. He could see briefly into the future. He could see what was going to happen. 15. Oh, it's such a good movie. That did it well. That movie was awesome.
Huh.
You could look. We could put it across the screen in the edit. You could put it. It's such a good movie. I don't want to say any more about it, but it's definitely worth watching. That movie.
The thing with Madam Web and like a lot of these Sony movies is like Kraven the Hunter coming out. I'm just kind of like, why?
Exactly.
Like, there's no Spider-Man in the universe, and this is what it comes down to. Like with the Joker, like the Joker 2, they already planted in our minds in the first movie that Bruce Wayne's a kid. So this Joker is not going to have a Batman to fight. So people love these stories, comics and fantasies, because it's hero versus villain and hero always wins. Sure, there's, other stories where the villain wins and those can be told well, but especially when it comes to these legacy characters, we love to see our hero beat up the villain. And I think that was one of the big things against Joker 2 is the fact that they pretty much had already told us in the first movie, Bruce is not going to play a part in this. And so you end the first movie with, was it real? Was it not real? Fine. Like, it's contained, self-contained, good story, great, entertaining. Then you throw the second one in there, and then that's when it gets really complicated, because now there's no hope for, okay, well, who's going to fight this Joker? And then, spoilers if you haven't seen it, just take your earplugs out for 15 seconds. Then he gets stabbed, and you're like, okay, well, now is that guy the Joker? And like, what is, like, is he just going to just rot in the asylum now? Because the whole movie, he just didn't seem to have any sort of personality. He just seemed to just be this, like, really off the hinges
observer
product of Arkham Asylum. Like, he didn't even seem to be like he was planning anything, like, like in the Batman with Robert Pattinson, that one of the last scenes in the movie, Joker is plotting his collaboration with the Riddler. You don't get any of that in the Joker 2. So you're like, is this the real Joker? And it's just like so many questions.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's the same thing with the Sony movies, is you're just kind of like, okay, Venom is a villain turned anti-hero, but he has to go through his villain arc first. So we're not getting that. And it's not connected to a Spider-Man. So Venom will always have his connection to Spider-Man because Spider-Man got the symbiote suit and then it fell onto Eddie Brock, creating Eddie and Venom. But now there's not that connection. So it's like, okay, like there's no lore there to connect them. Madam Web, I'll go to Morbius first. Morbius, another villain.
I haven't even seen that movie either.
They just make him like this I wouldn't even say they make him an anti-hero. They make him a hero. Like, and I don't think he has any villain or anti-hero qualities about him. And then what other Sony movies do we have? I think, and then
Craven.
Yeah, Craven coming out. So apparently he's going to be like a PETA type. That's like the rumors is like, he's not like a hunter. He's like a hunter for like protection and preservation. That's the rumor right now. So they're making him like a softer
protect the rhinos and stuff.
Protect the wildlife, which is cool.
Sure,
but that's not what he is.
Right.
That's not. Now you're making him a hero, and then Madam Web, who weaves all webs and connects all the stories. But then you're like, okay, who's the Spider-Man of this universe? Like, if it all centers around Peter, and Madam Web is supposed to connect all the things, who is she connecting everything to? Spider-Man didn't create the Venom in this universe. There's no correlation between Morbius and Spider-Man. Madam Web, I mean, you have Uncle Ben in the birth, but it's a child Peter, so it's like...
So all the movies have this a la carte feel. It's just...
exactly.
Just separate dishes, enjoy it, and then you don't think about it anymore. It's not a meal of that... where everything goes together. It's just, here's a dish, here's another dish, and here's another dish. And
so you just like, even if the movie, like let's say Craven turns out to be incredible, at the end of the movie, if you're a Spider-Man fan, you're just going to be like, okay, but like, how does this connect? Like where does it connect? And maybe they will finally, I don't think they're going to do it in the Craven movie, but I mean, that's what Sony needs to figure out. And Sony's probably is like, okay, look at how good Tom Holland is. Okay, like, can we take him back now? But like, that's not how that works. Tom Holland is good because that whole universe around him is good. And he was brought in and he's a good actor and he plays the part well. And he's part of a bigger story that actually makes sense. That is synonymous to Marvel Comics, where a whole universe of heroes exists and a whole universe of villains exists,
right?
And so they all play their part.
But I think we all got spoiled by the Avengers run of movies, which was nothing, if nothing else, and it was a lot of other things, but it had a lot of connectivity, and there was just a lot of synergy. It was every movie, that's why we stuck around to the end of the credits, because we wanted to see
what's next.
And they were and it was brilliant, and they whoever was involved in continuity deserves a medal of honor, because I'm being facetious, only soldiers deserve that, but deserves a high praise, because that is something, it's amazing. And so anybody coming in that isn't doing that, we're gonna notice it.
Well, and that's the other thing too, is like, okay, you bring Spider-Man in, Venom at this point, I mean, he fights Carnage in the second movie, so he's essentially a hero. Like, Morbius, if you watch that movie, he's definitely more of a hero than an anti-hero. So then it's like you're making this Sinister Six, and it's just not going to be believable to the audience, because it's going to be like, well,
but they're not sinister.
Yeah, you've made them anti-heroes at worst. Like, so it's just going to be
but they have to make them heroes if they're going to make a movie where they're the protagonist. They can't just be the villain, because then that gets tiresome to root for the villain all the time. So they box themselves in by not being able to tie it to the heroes. We're right back to what you said. Where's Spider-Man?
Yeah, and this is a perfect transition into Penguin, is if they had some sort of like, this is the Spider-Man that exists in this world, then you would have the freedom to make villain movies.
Right.
To make origin villain stories of, let's say Andrew Garfield is like, this is the Andrew Garfield universe that they've been messing around with. You could tease like an Andrew Garfield like, maybe like he's in the church hitting the church bell and the symbiote is falling off of him. And like, you only see that part. You don't get the full story, but it's going to come, right? Like at some point we're going to see that story told. But right now we're only getting the perspective of Eddie Brock. And you can tell that villain origin story and it'll work. That's why it didn't work in the Joker, like we've already said. But this is why it's working in the Penguin. Are you fully caught up on the Penguin?
No, I'm not caught up on the Penguin.
How many episodes in are you? 1. Oh my gosh.
I'm like 3 weeks behind. It's the middle of semester. But here's the reason why I haven't done the Penguin, because I know that the Penguin is if they're, I don't mind waiting for the next installment of Agatha or whatever. I can wait, right? I know that I'm not gonna be able to wait when I get into the Penguin, because I watched the episode 1 and I can tell how good it is. And I'm gonna think about what I have in front of me. I'm gonna sit down and watch. I could binge it, dude.
That's not as fun.
No, I know it's true. You're right.
The fun is the anticipation.
I know. I tell Debbie this all the time. When she binges things, I'm like, no, I don't want to. I only want to watch a couple because I want to contemplate and consider and guess and wonder and predict. Well, I will. So yeah, I'm way behind on that one.
Okay, so anyway, this is why it works with the Penguin, is because you're seeing the Penguin and be a bad dude, and you're seeing Gotham be corrupt and evil, and you can see these things, and they don't have to give Penguin, Sophia Falcone, they don't have to give any of these characters redemptive qualities, because there's a Batman in that universe. And the best part about watching this, especially the last 2 episodes, is you're just like, Batman is going to kick your ass soon enough. And I can't wait to watch it happen. Like, that is going to be, dude, when the Batman 2 comes along and Batman just gets to go to town on Penguin.
I love it.
People are going to be cheering.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So how many am I behind? How many? There've been 3 or 4 now.
4, I believe.
Okay. So
dude,
I will not binge them. I will watch one. I'll give myself at least 24 hours. Then I'll watch the next one. And so I will watch them all this weekend. It's Friday right now. I will watch one a day, and it won't be a chore. Now the decks are cleared. I have a little time. I'm going to do it.
This last episode, as it stands right now, is rated a 9.5 on IMDb.
Oh, man.
And it is being praised with like it's being put up there with some of the best Breaking Bad episodes, some of the best Soprano episodes. Some content creators who do like Easter egg and review stuff. Yeah. Apparently they got to see episode. Yeah, that was episode 4. This is episode 5. Some of them got to see episode 5 early, and they were like, I truly thought episode 4 was going to be the peak of this show. I just saw episode 5 and wow. So this show is like, let us know in the comments if you're watching what you think. But I mean, I think it's incredible so far. I think by the time we get to the end of it, it's going to be one of, if not the best.
Oh man.
I will say it's going to be the second best comic book show, because Daredevil is.
I'm excited now.
Yeah.
Now you got me pumped.
It's
that's so good. Well, I loved the first episode. I haven't avoided it because I didn't love it. I know it's like I got to sit down and pay attention, and I just haven't had the bandwidth. But I just, as you know, won't bore I almost said readers, won't bore our viewers with this, but I finally got something big off my calendar just yesterday and this morning. So I have a little bit. I got a little time. So
yeah. It's
I love what you said about Batman is coming to get you. You're so sincerely pumped about it. I love it,
dude.
I love it.
I like Darren and I were watching episode 3, and it was just like, oh my dude, I can't wait. And literally the thought, and I think what I verbally said is like, I can't wait for justice to get to you, because it will. Yeah. And that's
just good storytelling.
Yeah, that's just like that's what's innate to the human beings, unless you're a wicked, corrupt person who just does evil in the world. And I mean like true evil. Yeah. Like, but if that's not you, and I'm sure that's not any of our listeners, right. Like you love heroes winning, and you love hope. You love the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yep. Someone getting what they deserve.
That's what's beautiful about the Penguin is we're getting that. Like, we're getting a wicked, evil story, and you get to see how corrupt Penguin is, how manipulative he is, and you get to see him do all this evil to people. But you know that probably not in this show, but in the Batman 2, he's gonna get his teeth kicked and he's gonna get the brakes beat off of him. And
yes,
that's gonna make us want Batman 2 even more.
Yeah.
Because it's all connected. It's all in a universe. Everybody knows, okay, this is Penguin. There is a Batman out there who's gonna take care of him. I'm not just watching this dude cause mayhem and in a city and kill people and manipulate other people to do his dirty work and all of these other things, but there's nobody out there who's going to stop him. Nobody wants that type of story.
No.
Nobody wants to see a deranged serial killer run free with no justice.
No.
Nobody wants that.
Nope.
So,
oh man,
Yeah.
Man, I'm already looking forward to when Pattinson's Batman 2 comes out, because I knew you loved Batman, but not like I know it now. Like and we've talked a lot about this. You're gonna be like a kid in a candy store. You're gonna be jumping up and down. It's gonna be so much fun.
I'm not a huge Batman fan, but Pattinson made me a huge Batman fan.
Well, it's gonna be really fun to go to that movie with you whenever it gets here.
Yeah.
To just, I'm going to be excited myself, but I'm going to be just enjoying your energy for it the most. And I want to sit right next to you, so that, because when these things happen, I know you're going to be clapping, you're gonna be like into it. And I'm going to be enjoying it like double in stereo, because I'm going to enjoy the movie, but I think equally as much I'm going to enjoy your response to the movie. And then the trifecta of it is hearing you talk about it after the movie. Cause I just know it's not going to disappoint you. I'm certain it's going to be good.
I just rewatched the Batman like a week ago or something.
You always watch it.
And I'm gonna rewatch it on Halloween. The Batman is the greatest Halloween movie.
The other day, Joshua says to me, he says, Darren and I are watching. We're watching. We got home that night. We watched across the Spider-Verse. I said, like again, and I'm not one to say again, because I watch a movie over and over again too. But it was just kind of funny. It's like, didn't you just like watch that a week ago? You're like, it's never too much. He said,
Across the Spider-Verse and the Batman, like you can't watch those movies enough. And when it comes to Across the Spider-Verse, I always there's always something new that I find, especially because it's animation and not like live action. The animation, man, they can like hide stuff in there and stuff that you won't catch. I mean, Darren and I caught some stuff the other night, and it was like our third, fourth time watching it. And it's like, man, how many other things are hidden in this movie that you just don't catch? So,
yeah, we'll have to have a watch party sometime, like when it's like in the summer when I don't have anything going on at all, or maybe over the holidays, and I'll just sit there with you and watch all those. You just pick the movies.
Well, here's the thing. The Batman first one is a Halloween movie because it takes place on a Halloween night, or at least the first day does.
Yeah.
The second one is so the Penguin is all taking place like a week or two after the Batman movie. And it's not going to be like a, 3-4 month long story. It's just going to take place in that early part of November. So the Batman 2 is going to take place, they're saying like December, late November. So the Batman 2 is going to be a Christmas movie.
Ooh.
So I'm going to have my Halloween movie. I'm going to have my Christmas movie.
Yeah.
And then with the Batman 3, I'll just make a summer movie.
Yeah, probably a summer movie. I'm actually enjoying the fall season a lot this year. Like I more than normal.
A little warmer.
I don't know why. I'm liking the weather change. I'm enjoying, I don't know if we're going to get any trick-or-treaters in our neighborhood here or not, but I don't know. Some years I don't really care about Halloween and the whole thing. You know? But for some reason this year, kind of looking forward to all the people in costumes and candies and
make sure you're watching 2 weeks from now. I think
we're gonna have a special episode.
Yep, special. Oh wait, no, a week from today.
Yeah.
When you guys see this, a week from today, we'll have a special episode. But Agatha, real quick, you're all caught up on that.
Yep.
I think it's good. I mean, it's hard because it's like Penguin is a different level of good.
Yeah.
Agatha is still good.
Yeah.
It's just not like drama, thriller, like Breaking Bad, like Soprano type, like where it's just
it's not
the
that.
Penguin is like in that level of like TV.
Yeah.
This is not in that level of TV. I don't think that makes it a bad TV show. I think a lot of people are saying like, oh, like Penguin is like so much better than Agatha, and in some ways it is, but it's like they're in two totally different realms, and they're both
they're
great.
not trying to do the same things,
Right.
So the audiences aren't the same, the rating isn't the same. It's just not the same, So they can both be completely different and both still be entertaining. Yeah, I thought the last 2 episodes, so I guess it would be episodes 5 and 6, I think of Agatha, were like it upped its game. Like it was, it suddenly we started to find out who Teen is and it got darker, which I think I was hoping it would, because I mean, it's Agatha Harkness, right? I mean, she's this weird anti-hero villain kind of character. We're supposed to root for her, against her. I don't know. And it was sort of, you're not really sure, which makes sense because she is the point of view character. But in the last 2 episodes, I don't want to spoil too much, but in the last 2 episodes, it's gotten more and more clear that she's who she lives up to her reputation. Yeah, basically of being a witch and being not hesitating to kill when needed, and on and on and on. And so, and then we find out who Teen is, which is really cool. Like that was a really. I love what they did with the last episode. I love that it was all just, okay, let's give the origin story of this character. That was great. I thought that was really necessary to do. And it broke up the rhythm of, okay, on to the next trial. Like it gave us a little, another something different to look at. But it also, in case anybody had forgotten, and I don't think anybody did, but just really tied it back to WandaVision, just really tightly tied it to WandaVision. Yeah. Like it had a scene in it that brought us back to that final episode of WandaVision.
I mean, we can take the let off spoilers now. Yeah.
Yeah. And so when you find out, okay, this is how, are we doing spoilers? Yeah. Okay. This is how Billy, escapes annihilation, because somebody died and he had an empty vessel to enter. And I love that they had that other witch be the fortune teller in that, I guess it was a bar mitzvah. I thought that was amazing because she, what do you think she saw when she looked at his hand? She saw obviously that he was going to die.
I think she saw it all. Because
did she see Maximoff? Because she's the one who put the hex on him, right?
Yeah, and she also she put the hex on him, and she also I think she was clearing her memory too, because she didn't recognize him when they pulled up to her office. So I think she did it so that if she ever came across him, she wouldn't know or recognize. I mean, she had to have seen the Scarlet Witch. That has to be the one thing that puts fear in you, is the most powerful witch in the world.
Right.
This is now you see the future of this person who's in front of you, and that then I think sorry, my thoughts are all over the place. I think she was actually protecting him from the Scarlet Witch.
Ooh, okay.
Because the sigil, and I think it's what the movie had to do, or sorry, the show, because if not done the right way, this movie could have made Multiverse of Madness make no sense. Because Multiverse of Madness is her on the run looking for her kids. And so she had to put the sigil on him to protect him from Wanda. So I think with the sigil, she doesn't recognize him. That's why, she when they walk in, him and Agatha to her little shop, there's no
yeah, that's right.
Oh, why are you familiar? There's none of that. So I think she did that to protect her, so that there's no so that Wanda just cannot sense him anywhere.
And we were told that sigils are, you can't get rid of a sigil. It's gone when it's no longer needed. That's what we were told early in the episode. And we see Billy crush the thing.
Yeah.
At the end, I think it's the end of it. episode 6. He just breaks
Yeah.
it. So if your theory is correct, does now he become visible to Wanda? I would say if Wanda's still around, like that's what we don't really know from the end of Multiverse of Madness. Where is she?
Yeah.
I don't believe she's gone because, well, we know she's not gone because she's coming back, and because she's a Scarlet Witch. I mean,
Yeah.
she's a top tier level. Not a mutant. What do you call her? What is she? You know, in the Marvel universe, she's one of the most powerful entities in the universe. So you think a bricks falling are going to kill her? No, of course not.
Yeah, no.
You know? So we have to assume that at this point in the storyline, Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet Witch, knows where Billy is, knows he's on the road. I'm stoked about where that's going in the storyline, and he's out there trying to find his brother, who that would assume that his brother found some vessel, or maybe is or hasn't, but didn't get annihilated either because he's running around, not literally running around, but it could, right?
Could be.
I just think, again, we're talking about the connectivity, the continuity. What got me really excited about the last 2 episodes of the series is that it started to connect really specifically, not just to WandaVision, but to the movie universes, and to tie it to something bigger. And it's starting to feel bigger. Like it started out as a really just like a show,
Yeah.
And now it's starting to feel like it's part of a much bigger story, and I'm really interested.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I have no clue what the story with Tommy will be. Normally, I'm a guy who keeps up with leaks. I think Marvel's done a pretty good job keeping the rest of this under wraps.
Yeah.
So we've been told Mephisto and Wanda will not be in the show, but I feel like that could be something that was done in top tier secret, either of them, because I think the way that the souls entered, this is a direct connection to Mephisto, because in the early run, I believe it was in West Coast Avengers, their children were actually shards of Mephisto and were manifestations of that. So the fact that they have souls that left these fake little kid bodies essentially and now exist in the world, I think that is a direct connection to Mephisto.
Yep.
And that these are not, I don't think it's going to be oh, this is a piece of Wanda that was left behind. I think it will be these are shards of Mephisto's soul.
I think Mephisto as a character could appear, if not Sasha Cohen or whatever, Baron Cohen.
Sasha Cohen,
yeah. But his something that indicates it's him, it's something along those lines. So all that to say, your window to acquire Silver Surfer 3 is probably about 3 weeks and closing fast. Unless you want to wait for the bump to come back down. It's already it's already appearing in top 10s I've noticed last week. So
Mephisto was never ever part of the storyboarding for WandaVision. He was never a part of it. Mm-hmm. Then the show comes out, and obviously people start theorizing a ton. Mm-hmm. And it's oh, Mephisto. And the showrunners were we had no, we weren't even thinking about him when we were writing this. So now that we had a name dropped, this whole souls of a imaginated being now finding another empty vessel to take part of.
Yeah.
Very Mephisto-esque. Yep. So I think we're gonna get, if not an appearance, I think we're gonna get at least one big reference, more than just he, or maybe he about Nicholas Scratch, or maybe he became an agent of Mephisto. That's just a kind of
that doesn't have to connect to anything in the story.
That's
Someone's
just
speculating.
Exactly. But I think we're gonna get a true connection to Mephisto. It might not have to be an actor playing Mephisto, but I think
connection
something
to Lady Death. Is there a connection there?
Mephisto?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure a collaborate. I mean, they have to work in tandem, right?
They're both in the underworld essentially, right? Oh man. So, anyway, so yeah, I've been. And how many episodes? 8 or is it 10?
It's 9.
Okay, so there's
So there's next
7,
week's
8,
episode.
Three to go. So, yeah.
So there's next week is going to be one episode, and then Halloween week they're dropping 2 episodes on that night.
That's so great. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
They've set it up really well, and it has a chance to truly pay off, like really pay off. I'm happy. I've got sitting down here my first Agatha Harkness cover in a 9.2. So, and I've already shown my first appearance of Agatha Harkness. I think that those books have not been hurt by this show. That was my concern.
Yeah, my only concern is Marvel typically does not know how to end shows well, like Moon Knight and WandaVision. They just become big CGI fights. And so, yeah, I'm really curious to see what they'll do here.
Yeah.
Moon Knight and WandaVision have had their time. Oh, and Secret Invasion too. Secret Invasion also. It wasn't a great show, but that was also a CGI fight with the scroll abilities. And so, yeah, I think at this point, Marvel has had enough criticism with the way that they end the shows that this is like one of the first shows after all of that criticism where they can say like, okay, we hear you. And there's
it
a
doesn't have to be
change
this big grand fight. It stick with the horror theme.
Yeah.
That would be amazing. They did. If they somehow, if episode 9, if I could actually say that it was scary, I think that would be a success for them.
I think what would be cool is if they just like, they get to the end of the Witch's Road, they think they've won, and then they're just in hell. Oof. Like, and Mephisto's just sitting on his throne.
You would love to see that, man, because you have Silver Surfer 3. You're good.
I got a couple of them.
I know.
So,
well, no, you only have one. You haven't noticed. I have one back here. I snuck in. I worked in concert with your cats. They let me know when you were gone.
Yeah, right. Those guys don't work. The laziest creatures in the world.
I love them. I love all 3 of them. Even if Murdy gives me side eye all the time.
His side eye is funny because he looks like he's judging hardcore.
Yeah, he judges. I'll get text from Joshua and it'll say Murdy's judging you. You know, and it's like it's like the equivalent of being told I'm very disappointed in you. It's like
But yeah, so I'm excited.
Yeah,
got a lot of good things.
Yeah, this has been fun.
So, anything else?
Nope. I think it's like I've said everything I have to say, unless I want to turn around and start going through my comics, but we're already, I think, an hour and a half. So
yeah. So, all right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Yeah. Thanks for hanging out in my comic room.
Yeah. Welcome really to Mr. Longbox Comic Room. Join the Discord link below. Show us pictures of your comic room. Yes. Show us what you got. We'd love to see it. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Follow us on Instagram. I'm at Spros_comics. He is Mr. Longbox. Stay tuned on my socials for a big announcement coming pretty soon. And we'll see you guys next week.
All right. See you next week.
Bye.